accountability. Right Honorable Speaker, there has been a lot said about the money which has been given to the ministry and no work is being done, nothing seems to be done. Right Honorable Speaker, when we came here last time before Parliament adjourned, we raised a concern about how much we owe the contractors, and at that time it was about 1.3 trillion. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament directed that we be given the money to meet that backlog in terms of payment to the contractors. Right Honorable Speaker, we were given, out of the 1.3 trillion, we were given 462 billion, and that's the money we are counting in one of those documents. We have accounted for that money, 462 out of the 1.3 trillion, which was requested to do. So before I even go into the main report, that gives a brief on why even many of the contracts are not running, because we owe the contractors a lot of money. Allow me, Right Honorable Speaker, to go through my report. Right Honorable Speaker, this statement is a follow-up to the one I presented to this House in August, this August House, on 14th May 2025, regarding the state of roads infrastructure in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, I think I'll go on record to be one of the ministers who is always here lamenting and crying about money, because the truth is I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get to be able to deliver the services.
Honorable Government Chief Whip, is it possible for finance to be here? Because if the problems are on money, can we have finance here and we understand why these things are not being done?
Right Honorable Speaker, it is this report of implementation of the National Roads Project outline the effects of funding shortfalls in the current financial year and reaffirm my ministry's strategy and readiness to provide the service when required.
It's a procedure matter.
Minister of Finance. Would it not be procedure right for the Honourable Minister to wait until the Ministry is around so that they answer issues which are going to be raised in the report, other than going ahead in their absence? Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
The report is uploaded. The presumption is that these ministers or all the ministers go ahead to read, and then on the specifics we shall find out from finance.
1,292 kilometers, of which 6,312 kilometers are paved. Paved means that's tarmac, and the remaining 4,980 kilometers are unpaved. The Ministry of Works and Transport, through the Department of National Roads, that's the department now responsible for the national roads, in replacement of UNRA. What we have done is that, unlike what used to happen before, where like when the UNRA was coming, they dismissed everybody, we have absorbed nearly, as of now, 75% of all the personnel of UNRA in the ministry. And so the people in this Department of National Roads are the same people who have been running the national roads in this country. Following the repeal of the National Roads Authority Act, the Department of National Roads under the ministry now manages all ongoing road works previously under UNRA. As of July 2025, the active portfolio under implementation comprises of the following. We have 28 road upgrading projects. Upgrading, that these are roads which are going to be upgraded from gravel to tarmac. 10 roads under rehabilitation. These are roads which have been highly degraded and have to be rehabilitated. 11 bridges which are being constructed. These projects are financed through a combination of Government of Uganda funding and development partner support. In addition, the Ministry continues to manage the National Road Maintenance Program, covering both the paved and unpaved network. For this financial year, 25-26, the total Government of Uganda requirement for the National Roads Program is 3,153,000,000, broken down as follows. 2,082,000,000 is for the ongoing works, those projects which are ongoing, and the lists are in the annexes which are attached to this document. Land acquisition, which is a very big consuming aspect of the road construction, and counterpart funding obligations. When we get funds from the foreign funders, that we are required to provide counterpart funding in some of the projects for us to meet the requirement. In addition, 1.071 trillion, this is now for areas carried forward from 2024-2025. 1,071 billion. These are areas, which means you have the IPCs, the certificates have already been given, but you cannot pay because you don't have the money.
General, just on that, next time you'll also...
Only this financial year, 25-26, out of the 3.15 trillion which you require, what has been provided in the budget is 682 billion. This is what is in the medium-term expenditure framework, the MTEF. This leaves a gap of funding of financing of 2,472,000,000. This represents only 22% of the required funding. Right, Honorable Speaker, this trend follows a continued decline in Government of Uganda allocations over the NDP3 period. Government contributions have continued to reduce from 1.86 trillion in financial year 2020-2021 to 682 billion in this financial year 24-25, with the latter representing only 20% of the NDP target for that year. This sustained underinvestment has led to accumulation of certified debt, stalling of ongoing projects, and deterioration in the condition of the road network. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is a matter we have talked about day in, day out. We seem to be doing the same things and expecting different results. It can't happen. We have to change the way we do business if we are going to expect different results. And so, with this kind of funding, I don't think we are going to make any bigger difference. Right, Honorable Speaker, the implementation of the ongoing road and bridge projects under ministry has been significantly disrupted due to prevailing funding shortfalls. Although partial payments were effected in Q4 of 24-25 on some of the projects, the amounts released were insufficient to restore full momentum. Most contractors have not resumed full operation, and most project sites remain partially mobilized or idle. Right, Honorable Speaker, as of July 2025, 27 projects have been affected by either full suspension or significant reduction in progress. These projects include the following: 18 projects fully funded by Government of Uganda, where contractors have suspended or slowed down works due to delayed payment. 9 externally financed projects where delays are primarily attributed to the government's inability to provide timely counterpart funding for land acquisition, taxes, or enabling works. The following projects are currently fully suspended due to non-payment. 1. Masindi Biso Kavali Kiziramfumbi. This is a critical oil road, and the amount of money demanded by the contractor.
Right, Honorable, thank you very much.
Yes, a procedure matter.
But Honorable, this is the Parliament.
Suspended due to non-payment. Masindi Viso, Kabari Kiziramfumbi, one of the critical roads. We are demanded 111 billion to a contractor. So we can't expect that contractor to continue working. Najanankumbi Busabala is suspended because the contractor, we owe the contractor 44 billion, and also we need money for land acquisition. Moroto Rectanyara, this one is about 80% progress, but we need to find the money so that the project can be completed. Mitiana Mubende, we gave the contractor out of the money which was appropriated, the 462 billion, 39 billion out of the IPCs which he had, but now what he told us is that all that money he used it to pay the debts and pay the suppliers, and right now he needs another 30 billion, which is not in the budget. Kampala Jinja Highway, that one we had to now use the internal mechanism of the ministry to intervene, and that's what you see the works going on that road is by the ministry internal capacity, the unit which is working on that road to put some sanity on the road. The following projects are progressing but at a reduced rate due to delayed payments or incomplete land acquisition. Land acquisition is another nightmare. Kilaka Sangati Matuga, the number of properties which we have not yet paid for. Kisubi Nakauka Natete, Nakauka Mauguru Nanziga, Nakauka Kasanje Mpiji, Nakauka, Kasanje Buwaya, and then Tebe Nachuogo. This is one project within that area, but the challenge of that project is mainly land acquisition, because the contractor accepted to do a pre-financing arrangement which was agreed on with the Minister of Finance for 2 years, but he needs land for him to work.
How much is supposed to be paid to the PAPs?
The PAPs, 380 billion. Nebi Road, this one's about to be completed, but again the progress is slow. We need to Matuga Semtoka Peka, this one a Baker, who is a local contractor, demands about 44 billion. Karuma Pakwach Road, this one is progressing. The contractor, China Railway 7, together with the NEC, they demand about 20 billion. Busunju Kiboga Hoima Road, this is under construction by again Abubeka, who's demanding us another 30 billion on this particular road. Karuma Orio and the Orio Pakwach sections, these are being addressed, and I think very soon they'll be finished. Additionally, key bridge projects remain but constrained because of funding, and the progress is ongoing, but it could be better if we had a reliable fund release. Katonga Bridge, including Rera and Kalanda's Swamp crossings along Masaka. Then the Upper Katonga Bridge, that's Kabula Soke, Villa Maria Road. And Seziwar Bridge on Kayunga Mukono Road. The cumulative effects of these suspensions and delays has led to slow absorption of project resources, exposure to financial claims, risk of asset deterioration, and reputational concerns. If not urgently addressed, these disruptions will compromise Uganda's ability to deliver critical national infrastructure and maintenance of the existing network. Impact of the inadequate funding. The funding shortfall of 2.472 trillion in this financial year has had far-reaching consequences on the implementation of the National Roads Program. These impact manifest across land acquisition, ongoing project performance, the paved road network, and maintenance of gravel roads. Impact on land acquisition and project commencement. Land acquisition remains a prerequisite, and this is in the Constitution, I think Article 26, for access to site and commencement of physical works. The delay or absence of funds for land compensation has constrained progress on both government of Uganda projects and also externally funded projects. The lack of access to site has A, prevented contractors from mobilizing, leading to suspension of activities. Triggered claims for idle equipment, because it's in the law that if the contractor cannot, if you can't give him access to land, then we charge you idle equipment. The ministry currently requires 843 billion in total to complete land acquisition obligations in financial 2025-26 on all ongoing projects, including those funded by donors. And the list is in the annexes which I have provided. Impact on ongoing projects, arrears and claims. Right Honorable Speaker, the under allocation in 2025-26 has further compounded certified arrears carried forward from the previous year, which, as I stated earlier, is 1 trillion and 71 billion. These arrears relate to completed or ongoing works for which certificates were issued and approved. Failure to clear these obligations has resulted in the following. 1. Suspension or reduced performance on 27 ongoing projects. The lists are in the annex. Accrual of commercial interest on delayed payments estimated at over 48 billion in financial year 2025-26 alone. Delays in execution of co-finance projects, potentially affecting Uganda's credibility with development partners. Additionally, the continued accumulation of unpaid certificates discourages private sector confidence, increases future unit cost, and may result in government being classified as high-risk client in the infrastructure contracting market. The impact on paved roads. Honorable Speaker, Uganda's paved road network, now standing at 6,312 kilometers, is experiencing increasing structural distress due to insufficient maintenance, deferred interventions, increased traffic and climate change, and according to the latest technical assessment, 2,460 kilometers, which is 39% of the network, require urgent intervention as follows. 1,993 kilometers require periodical maintenance, like what we did on Northern Bypass. 260 kilometers require 70 kilometers have deteriorated to the level of reconstruction. These include roads like Guru, Atiak, Nimule, which need total reconstruction. Honorable Speaker and members, periodic maintenance intervention costs about 880 million per kilometer if you do it within time. If not implemented,
888.
Yes, and 88 million shillings per kilometer. If not implemented, these roads degrade and instead require rehabilitation, which costs up to 2.59 billion per kilometer. Again, if this is not done, so the deterioration of the 1,993 kilometers due for periodical maintenance further into rehabilitation would result into preventable fiscal loss of up to 850 billion. This, however, does not even include the direct cost for road users, such as vehicle maintenance, the accidents which happen as a result, etc. If roads already earmarked for rehabilitation are neglected further, they transition into reconstruction category, just as what we are doing on Masaka to Mutukura Road. 8 to 3.70 billion per kilometer if not attended to in time. Consequently, failure to address 100 kilometers of rehabilitation-ready roads could impose an additional burden of 111 billion shillings to the government. Right Honorable Speaker. Further, the national asset value of Uganda's paved network has dropped from 37.4 trillion to 26.9 trillion, a depreciation of about 10.5 trillion, largely due to underfunding and deferred maintenance. This therefore calls for urgent need to provide funding to attend to the maintenance backlog. Right, Honorable Speaker, this may not be in the statement. We have had discussions on this matter of maintenance. Not once, not twice, even within my committee, the Committee of Parliament on Infrastructure. And we have been urging that for every $10 we invest in construction, we should invest $3 in maintenance. It has not worked. But we have put this very clear to the Finance Department, the Ministry. Impact on unpaved roads and routine maintenance. The national gravel road network, spanning over 14,000 kilometers, is also facing significant pressure due to poor funding and recurring climate shock. The current condition assessment indicates that 48% of these roads are in good condition, 35% in fair condition, 17% in poor condition. Maintenance efforts are hampered by A, unreliable and inadequate grids for grading and spot improvement. 2, depletion of gravel materials in highly demanded districts. And 3, infrastructure degradation due to flooding, landslides, and prolonged wet seasons. The ministry, my ministry, its capacity to respond to routine maintenance demands has been overstretched. Without predictable funding and mechanization support, rural access and road connectivity are likely to deteriorate further. Strategic recommendation, the impacts outlined above. The ministry proposes the following measures to safeguard the value of the ongoing investment, restore the project's momentum, and prevent further deterioration of the road network. Prioritize and ring-fence funding for periodical maintenance. The most economically prudent intervention is to protect roads still in maintainable condition. Periodic maintenance should be prioritized and ring-fenced in this financial year to prevent the 1,933 kilometers from degrading into high-cost rehabilitation or reconstruction categories. This alone could avert a fiscal loss of 850 billion. 2, clear certified areas to enable resumption of works. The ministry recommends that substantial portion of the 1.071 trillion in areas be cleared early enough in the financial year. 1, prevent further contractor demobilization. 2, avert accumulation of commercial interest. 3, avoid prorogation costs arising from claims by contractors. And 4, restore momentum on suspended or slowed down sites. Priority should be placed on fully suspended government of Uganda funded projects such as Mitiana Mubende, Kampala Jinja, Busega-Mpigi Expressway, among others. 5, allocate a dedicated fund for land acquisition. On this matter, Right Honourable Speaker, we have made a resolution that we are not going to accept any project to be directed to commence a project if the Ministry of Finance has not provided money for land acquisition going forward. Because land acquisition is a recurring constraint affecting both donor and government-funded projects. So we need an immediate allocation of about 843 billion in this financial year. Access the sites and avoid breach of contract obligations. Projects under disbursement pressure from development partners must be prioritized to protect Uganda's credibility. Assurance and conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, our road network remains a critical national asset that underpins economic growth, regional integration. Fortunately or unfortunately, we're in the center of the region, and our network does not only serve Uganda, it also serves our neighbors and delivery of service. Its total replacement value is estimated at 37.4 trillion. However, due to underfunding and deferred maintenance, this value has greatly depreciated. by about 10.5 trillion. And the risks of further deterioration are growing if the funding levels remain unchanged. The funding shortfall of 2.472 trillion in this financial year has triggered project suspension, delayed land acquisition, accumulated arrears, and increased the fiscal exposure through interest and claim liabilities. The national paved network is now experiencing a backlog of 2,460 kilometers requiring urgent intervention. Without decisive action, an additional 500 kilometers may deteriorate and become more costly within this single year. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to assure you and all the honourable members that my ministry is committed to developing and maintaining the road network, but we need to be assisted, of course, be getting the right resources, and we shall frugally utilize the allocated resources in the most effective manner possible for a reliable and safe works, and also to ensure that our transportation infrastructure and services remain available to the public. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I beg to submit. Document are annexes which shows one, the allocation versus the